We are free, we are unlimited right now, right now.
Yes, so welcome to this Sunday service. Linda and I have had so much fun preparing for this service because we are right on the threshold of inviting in a whole new platform of how we do ministry. And our talk title is Building on Spirit Groups.
And I am so excited. I have been holding this vision for 5 years because I have seen what is possible in small group ministry. And we started them out about 5 or 6 years ago and had a few groups that did not make, so to speak. We had one that met for about 2 years out in Canyon Lake. But for the most part, it just kind of fell away. And that was because the program that Mindy Audlin had developed was in its infancy. We've got the grown-up version, and we're ready now. And I am so excited.
It's so true. So, Spirit Groups, as Linda just said, was developed by Mindy Audlin. She's a licensed Unity teacher. She was the one that founded Unity of Wimberley. Yeah. And she's collected so much information and brought this to Unity churches and Center for Spiritual Living, religious science communities. There's about 40 churches who are actively doing Spirit Groups ongoing in their ministries. And we're about to start that process. We've got some videos to help bring on the light of how we're going to be building on Spirit Groups. Let's start.
So basically, what happened is there are people who meet us now who think that these people have been friends forever. In October is when we actually launched. The bulk of these people didn't even know each other in our congregation. And now they go hang out without me. That's the testimony. Right, it's a little sad, but I also feel like I did my work, right? To empower them to build the connections that aren't just directly with the leader, with the minister, but with each other. More than last year, I believe that what is happening here is the future of the New Thought movement.
Small group ministry is the future of ministry. Because as we know, if church isn't going to change, it's going to become extinct. And part of the change that's rippling through every congregation of any faith is the bringing into their community small group ministries, which we're bringing in Spirit Groups.
And I can't contain my excitement about it because this is how it grows. I had the opportunity this last Christmas season, for the first time in 25 years, was present at a Methodist candle lighting service at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, along with 3,000 to 4,000 other people. And during that service, while it was about the celebration of the birth of Christ and the candle lighting and the light in the world and everything that we know it is, they kept talking about harvest groups. Harvest groups. If you're not a member of a harvest group, join one today. And that is how these mega churches have become just that, mega churches. And that service was one of 4 that they had that day.
Beautiful.
I have been at the church I'm at for over 28 years. I was the administrator for 10 of those years. I've been the spiritual leader for over 10 of those years. And the big thing has always been, connection and how do we create a foundation that's not going to be the grow and then the shrink and the grow and the shrink. And for the first time, I see a program here with small groups that is going to help to finally create that foundation that I think we're all searching for, that does create connection in our ministries, but it also helps to create that foundation for generations to come.
An important aspect of spirit groups, or frankly any small group, is the aspect of coming together and making that connection. Now we know that 12-step programs all over the world know the value of coming together in like mind and holding support and connection. It's how we educate our youth is a small group in a classroom. We love to be in a tribe. And when we're feeling connected and like we belong and we're of like mind, we begin to explore the depths of our own truth. And this is why it's so valuable.
And it's such a powerful way for us to grow spiritually. And this is an opportunity that no one should miss.
Oftentimes people talk about how can the ministry inspire lives and transform in very practical ways, and that's a great vision, but we don't have the practical tools to do it. And my experience with spirit groups is that it provides the vehicle to transform lives in 5 different ways. What I appreciate is the 5 C's that are the core of spirit groups. The first is communion. It has helped me connect with God, my spirit, my source, to be able to look at how am I connecting with others. That's kind of the connection here. How am I doing that with compassion? Fourthly, being able to look at how am I now creating a community, and from that, what is the challenge? Another final C. And the spirit groups put all these principles together in very tangible ways so that people can share both their inner and outer journey together of transformation, and the spirit groups training provides those practical tools to do that.
Beautiful. And there's nothing more valuable than a good tool, yes? And having the right tool to do the job is what we seek for whenever we do anything. And Spirit Groups offers these tools, the 5 C's. The first one is communion. Group members grow in their practice of finding God in themselves, in others, and in their life circumstances. Each meeting begins with prayer, meditation, or a centering exercise.
And as we all know, unity was founded on prayer. Prayer and meditation is the core of who we are as unity. And this is the way we begin with everything that we do. The first thing we did, when we came in here this morning, we prayed. And that's how we grow as we become more centered in the truth of who we are.
And on this spiritual path, the more we can awaken to our connection with that infinite source of being, whether you call it God, Goddess, Source, Being. One of my favorites is Cosmic Waitress. And when I give an order to the Cosmic Waitress, you bet it's served, because the Cosmic Waitress is there to serve. And that's we can call God anything you want. There's no name you can give God that isn't, God's much bigger than any name we have. And communion is that opportunity to come together, hold that principle of knowing and that truth, and together we grow spiritually.
Connection. Group members, regardless of the group's focus, engage each other in a deep, meaningful manner. That is so powerful. The thing that really speaks to me, well, one of the things that really speaks to me about spirit groups is this very thing, this connection. I know many of you sitting out there this morning, but I don't know you here. And spirit groups gives us the opportunity to get to know you better, to get to know one another better, so that we can be connected at a much deeper, meaningful level.
One story about this that's true is way a long time ago in Maui. Owen and I were living in this gorgeous home in Maui Meadows, about 500 feet above sea level, spectacular view. Our next door neighbors invited us to join them for a home circle, a mastermind group, a study group. And we decided, let's do it. And we did that, and then we did another one. And today, the people who are part of that circle are our absolute best friends on Maui. And they were all members of a church, Unity Church, which we didn't know anything about. And that was our entree. It was our way of finding out about this community. And little did I know that just going to that small group ministry and finding deep connection with that circle of people, that I would stand before you as a Unity minister. So you just never know what God's going to do with you when you say yes to God. And that's a good connection.
Yes, it is.
Compassion. Group members throughout the entire system proactively seek to support and care for each other. No one falls through the cracks. As we know, life happens. And sometimes things in life are really challenging. Sometimes it can be hard or painful or difficult. Sometimes things are just normal, which is kind of a miracle in and of itself. But we also have those highs in the places of bliss. In a group, all of us aren't going to be crazy on the same day.
Thank goodness.
So we come as we are, and we're supported by each other because it's a proactive, important part of spirit groups to be there as a support for each other.
There are so many stories that Mindy has shared in trainers training about this wonderful piece of compassion. There are stories about members of a spirit group having an emergency in their home and having a spirit group member come to support them, and that member being there before the first responders arrived. That's how that works. We're there physically to support one another, but also to hold the high watch when we know one another at the core of our being.
And part of the reason why no one falls from the cracks is it's totally fine and open to show up at a group just as you are. Bleeding and on fire, or ready to receive and give a whole bunch of love. Whatever it is, we show up and we're embraced just as we are.
Community. All groups are in service to the broader community by taking on some meaningful service project, either within or beyond the church community. That's one of the things that I have really, really connected with in our pilot group. Katie Rydell found a service project for us to package and perishable goods and distribute them through the food bank every other Friday at the Westside Community Center, and I wouldn't miss it. Friday morning, Katie and I were there, and it was drizzling, and it was wet, and it was wonderful. It was wonderful because we had the opportunity to put together foodstuffs for these families that need that kind of thing. And it not only nourishes them physically, but it also nourishes them spiritually because of the energy that we put into that whole process of just packaging up cans of pork. I didn't know they canned pork, but they do. So this is another way to serve, and each group will find or come up with a service project, whether it's here in the church or beyond the walls of this church.
And as we know that when we give, especially when we give from our joy, give from our gift, it's easy for us to give our gift because it comes from our overflow. We never want to be in a position where we're giving blood every single day. When we give blood every day, we get a little anemic. And so it's important for us to give from that. And the group consciousness will come up with something they can do together to be of service. It's really beautiful. And the fifth C is challenge. All group members seek to awaken their emotional and spiritual maturity through discussion, study, authentic action, and shadow integration. Now, we may think that being challenged by the world is the biggest challenge. No. Our biggest challenge is facing our own niggles, our own resistance, our own awakening. And as we, as a group, acknowledge our process of awakening to our emotional and spiritual maturity, then we're standing on our truth. And no one knows your truth like you. And in the group situation, we have the opportunity to deepen our knowing. I want to know myself as much as I can. And the only way I can know myself as much as I can is by opening and awakening to my connection with the divine, which is eternal. So there's a lot of work to do.
And we find that through the discussion and the study, we are challenged to look deeper and to see where that growing edge is for us. And I find that it is through this process that I learn more about me and more about you. And I so appreciate that opportunity to grow.
Beautiful. So these are the tools: communion, connection, compassion, community, and challenge. And as we continue on this process of offering various spirit groups that you'll offer, there might be a spirit group on knitting. There's a spirit group of one church that's a running group. There could be a single mothers group. There could be a teen group. There could be anything at all as long as they use these components of these 5 C's, because that's what makes a spirit group. And we will have some offerings that you can sign up for today for Infinite Connections, which is a good primer basis of what is a spirit group. And we also have some spiritual education enrichment classes and the new member orientation. All will be incorporating these tools.
It's going to give them a personal way to connect, to be intentional with their vision of who and what they are, what they've come here to be. It's going to allow them to do it with a group of like-minded people, which is such a sense of connection and intimacy and freedom to be okay within this group that holds us. Yes, I'm very much for spirit groups and small groups.
I'm passionate about it, and I know that if you step into and commit to this, you will find a measure of deep growth and connection.
I would recommend spirit groups, and because I see this as a way that it's going to grow our unity movement exponentially. It seems to be the missing piece of how we connect and serve and minister to one another. One person can't do it all, and so this way, individuals get to know what's going on in their own group, they get to care for each other, they get to connect with one another, and they get to meet their needs as far as life happenings, circumstances, whatever that is, that they do that for one another, and then they can let the ministry and the minister and the chaplains know. And so in that way, we really do connect and grow deeper in our unity teachings of transforming lives.
This is, we have talked in unity for years about unity being the best kept secret in the world. If it's that wonderful and we know that it is, why is it a secret? Mm-hmm. And this vehicle, this small group vehicle, is a way to get our principles out into the universe and come out of the closet, so to speak. It's just like Gary and Owen experienced on Maui. They came into this group knowing nothing about unity. And look what happened. We never know. We absolutely never know. When we show up and do what is ours to do in these small groups, lives are changed. Our life is changed.
I walked into the Unity Church. I was on the edge of just going away. And what small groups allows us to do is to connect at a level that really and truly allows us to grow. Those of you that have gone into SEE and LUTs and ministerial school, you know about having those deep connections that allow you to be who you really are here to be. And I never got that. I never got that from an hour on Sunday mornings. And the ministers in here, we can't do it. We can tell them where the water is, but we can't, make them drink. We can't do any of those things. This is what helps people keep their life going. That's the reason I'm an evangelical about unity, is that this saved my life. And there are too damn many people who don't get their lives saved because they don't know about us, or they just walk into the church and the music didn't satisfy them. But if they can go into a small group, they will change, and it will save them. It will save them.
So this is where we are. We're at this precipice of embracing spirit groups in our community and inspiring infinite connection. And I love that we have this opportunity, and as we do this now, let's take a moment and go into meditation. And as we set down anything in our hands, we may close the outer eyes and we allow the Unity singers to help bring us into the meditative moment in music.
Be still. Go deep. What you sow is what you reap. Be here now, where one is known, where life's fountain always flows. Be still. Be still. Be still. And know. Be still. Be still. Be still. And know. Om Ganapatiye Namaha. 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 Be still. Go deep. What you sow is what you reap. Be here now. The one is known, where life's fountain always flows. Be still. Be still. Be still. And know. Be still. Be still. Be still. And know.
Breathing easily, relaxing and settling to this now moment. We open our heart or identify the center of your being and breathe into that center. And peace, be still. As we heard in the daily word, we can receive by what we expect. And so if we expect peace, if we expect unity, we can take this moment and open our center to our divine nature. And so let's breathe easy. And you might ask, what do I expect? As we now enter the silence. as we awaken to our unity with God, we draw from and realize deeper truth. So let's bring whatever we've received in this meditation to be the basis of how we live our life this day. And so as we come back into presencing ourselves to this room, we might wiggle our toes and wiggle our fingers, roll our head, roll our shoulders. When we're ready, we open our eyes, and then collectively we'll say our affirmation for today's talk. Together, as I open myself to infinite connection, I listen to others with love and respect. And so it is.
Step out on the water, release your faith. Every step is stronger. Step out on the water.